From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big Friday morning here on Mornings LALATE with incredible details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. As Jalapal speaks out, and we have her breaking news statements and the progressives about your fourth stimulus package and fourth stimulus check. The president's calling the vote. It starts on Monday. I have all the breaking news as how much the Democrats want you to have in this fourth stimulus check, monthly stimulus check, and the voting process starting next week. It's all breaking news on this Friday morning's broadcast. Then the second half of this video, we turn to fifth stimulus that heats up with no less than a fifth stimulus check and a raising up of your benefits. And minutes ago, breaking news on this one as well, as the head of the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis speaks about inflation and how it impacts your benefits this fall. I'll have all the details you're hearing for the first time on Mornings LALATE. Then we turn to the thousands of dollars you can get right now, and viewers continue to get it. It's your chance to get it today as well. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. Let's get to the wonderful news. Let's get to this big Friday. You made it to the weekend, but first, time for Mornings LALATE. You made it to the weekend, and congratulations. You made it to the weekend. That's an achievement unto itself. How's the weather where you are? And tell me where you're tuning in from. It finally broke. The heat wave is gone. I told you if you hit the like button, the heat wave would go away, and it worked here. So if you're having bad weather where you are right now, hit that like button. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Jump in the live chat right now. I'd love to see where you're tuning from. And also tell me what you're planning to do for the weekend. I'd love to see your comments. In this fourth stimulus check updated 2021 today, we'll be going over the breaking news you're hearing for the first time on Mornings LALATE. Jalapal speaks out about next week. And I have all the analysis about what's going on next week. The president calls the vote, and the voting starts next week. We'll have all the analysis in no less than 3 parts of a fourth stimulus check updated 2021 in this extended morning's broadcast. Then we cut to fifth stimulus heating up this fall. And fifth stimulus will not only have a stimulus check, but also raise your benefits up lifetime. And we learned more about that this morning as the head of the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis, Bullard, spoke about the situation, and I have all his comments and the breaking news on that as well. And then we turn to the thousands of dollars the viewers continue to get, and it's your day to get it. I'm excited for you. But first, welcome. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoon. Right after the show is Mornings Crypto. And then 11 a.m. is Noontime LALATE. I have a lot of breaking news on that show, so tune in for that one especially. And then in the afternoons, it's taped. But subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Hit that subscribe button right now. Next up, 1 million. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and it helps with the bad weather. And consider becoming a member. Let's get into the exciting details of understanding what's at play for this fourth stimulus check when comparing the House bill and the Senate proposal. Both monthly payouts, but different numbers across the board. Let's analyze them and see how they pay out differently and over different periods of time. So first, let's look at the number of months. House bill, pandemic plus 1 year. Stimulus checks on a monthly basis from the House bill. Pandemic plus 1 year. Senate proposal, July to December. Okay, let's look at the monthly payouts. House bill, $1,000 a month after the first month of 2000. Senate proposal, monthly unknown, but word on the street, the Senate Democrats want to give you this. Wow. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 a person. $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400 a person. Wonderful. Now let's go back to the House bill because there is an issue that may modify it. It's the pandemic part. The House bill, pandemic plus 1 year, well, some legislators may contend the pandemic is over, and that would result in just 1 year of stimulus checks, 12 checks, 12 months from the House bill, which under the House bill from Jalopal is $13,000 over 12 months. Let's compare that now to this over 6 months from the Senate Democrats. I think you have an opinion. Jump into the live chat right now and tell me which one you like. Vote right now, Senate or House, or Senate or House. Vote right now and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. I'd love to see your comments, Senate or House, and how's the weather where you're tuning in from. What else do you need to know about that fourth stimulus check? Well, who would get it? Democrats would give everyone who got a third stimulus check a fourth stimulus check. So single individual, $75,000 or less, you get a fourth stimulus check from the Democrats. Married couple, $150,000 or less, the Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check, double it. Household 4 or less, the Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA, Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check. Congratulations. The fourth stimulus check is not income, so it is not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would come on a monthly basis. It would not come in waves. So it's not a waivable check. So if you're walking down the street and you see the check, don't wave at it because it won't wave back at you and you'll think it's such a rude check. Hey, check, plans for the weekend? What a rude check you are. It's not a waivable check. It can't wave back at you. Can't tell you what it's doing for the weekend. Darn rude check. The Democrats would be called in for a final vote by July 4th, and that means the Democrats will be giving you a stimulus check in the month of July for the month of July, in the month of August for the month of August. And there you go. That is the first of your 3 parts of your fourth stimulus check updated 2021 in this recording. But in the second part, we go over the president calling the vote. The president has now set the vote for next week, and Jalopal speaking out on Jalopal's comments and what the progressives are doing to get this to the finish line. And their comments, brand new on Mornings LA. It's coming up in just a second. But first, there's a preview of the second part of this video. It's fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus will have a fifth stimulus check, but also raise your benefits up a lifetime. And this morning, the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis said something very different than Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, on Wednesday. And it all is wonderful for your benefits. I'll explain the details in this breaking news report in the second half of this extended morning's broadcast. But let's get some money. Let's get some money. If you're new to this channel, that's what I do. I get people money. And it's your turn to get some money as well. So let's get you some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners utilities. It's all available for you under third stimulus. $350 billion of it. If you're new to this channel, that's what I do. This is not the Stimulus Psychic Network, and we're not tracking checks, and I'm not just reading news stories. I get people money. In April of last year, I got viewers $25 million for EIDL loans to save their businesses and their homes and their employees' homes. And then in fall of 2020, I got viewers $250,000. The second stimulus wasn't being passed. And that was for rent and utilities. Well, let's get some more right now. Get a pen and paper ready. Get a pen and paper ready. But if it has to be a Crayola crown, at least match my shirt. I'm going to show you a lot of money in this video, so stay to the very end and get that pen and paper ready. But first, let's start with that rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowner assistance. How do you get it? You're going to reach out to different places, and each place will have different eligibility. So if one says no, don't worry. The next one will say yes. And let's start with that rent. It's about $5,000 of rent. It's wonderful. 4 to 6 months of rent, about $5,000. So you got that pen, paper, or Crayola crown ready? Here we go. City Hall, you're going to reach out to City Hall, City Housing Authority. County Hall, County Housing Authority. State Hall, State Housing Authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID. You're not going to say words that they don't know, like stimulus. They don't know that word. Or Mitch's Lobster Fest. They'll say, sir, that's in the summer. We're not there yet. That's in Kentucky. We don't do that. So they don't know those words. Don't say words they don't know. And so congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this big money for rent. It's your turn to get it as well. But boy, if you gotten a penny from this channel or 100,000 pennies, jump in the live chat right now and say what you got them because it inspires me and inspires another viewer every time someone gets something. This week, one viewer got $5,000 for this next pot of money. Last week, one viewer got $6,000 to $7,000 from it. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, for her son, and her mom, and Gail got it. What is it? It's money for SNAP. SNAP is money from the Department of Agriculture for your food. Money for your food. How do you get it? Reach out to Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them, and they'll get you on it. How much does it pay? A fortune. A fortune. A family of four out of Hawaii now gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of two wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raised your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. Wonderful details. Let's see how we're doing. $16,000 for SNAP for family of four in Hawaii. $5,000 for rent. We're killing it. We're only 11 minutes into this video. You're killing it. We got some more money, and it's $5,000. And where is it coming from? The states. The states have been identified by the federal government as owing you money. Why? States had overpaid you unemployment assistance due to computer error and then asked you to return the money back. Not your computer. Your computer works fine. It's their old computer, the one with the mothballs around it. Yeah, so the federal government said, return the money back to the citizens. Wow, one viewer got $5,000 from this. How do you get it? Directly to that account you have on file. How do you track it? Call up your state to ask them to track the repayment of the check and tell them, use a different computer when you track it. Don't use that old mothball computer. But then there's one last pot of money, and it's wonderful. If you got this pot of money, drop in the live chat. You know what it is. It's that money coming back from IRS. Margaret got it. Cod got it. Viewers get it every single day. If you got it today or this week, drop in the live chat right now that you got it. Let's go over how much it is, when you're going to get it, how to track it, and those details. Starting right now. First, how much is it? It's a lot. If you had, let's say, $9,000 of unemployment assistance in 2020, you filed a 2020 tax return, paid a total tax bill of $5,000, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment assistance, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit if that was on the tax return, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yes, about 70% of the time. You can track it. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password. Go in there, and about 70% of the time, the transcript trick will work. The transcript search will work. It will reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid, and the refund check you're getting back. Wow. That is wonderful news. Can we top that wonderful news? We can. With the second of your third part of the fourth stimulus check update of 2021 in this recording. Boy, a lot of breaking details. As the president has now said, we're calling the vote, folks. We're calling the vote. The reconciliation process already underway. Will be starting voting next week, the president has now said. But Jalapal has now spoken out about the situation in new comments obtained by this channel. Jalapal and also fellow progressive Brian Schatz, who's a Democrat out of Hawaii, spoke about the situation. I'm going to say their comments and then explain to you why this is such wonderful news. Jalapal said that the White House has not in any way told us progressives not to do what us progressives are doing. Wow, now that's wonderful. And then Schatz said the White House has repeatedly told him that the White House considers the progressive priorities the White House's own priorities, and that the White House has not asked progressives to back off at all in vocalizing their movement. Wow, for forced stimulus. Wow. So what does that mean? Here's what you need to know, and you're hearing it for the first time on Mornings LA. The president's forced stimulus, of course, is infrastructure, but in there are two items the president has been adamant that he demands are in there and he's ready to go to the mat for. Number one, climate. Number two, the CARES economy, which is not Cash Act 2020 or CARES Act 2020. It is referring to seniors and medical assistance. What are those two priorities? They are both progressive policies. Both climate and the CARES economy are progressive policies. So ironically, the president is willing to go to the mat for two items in that forced stimulus that are progressive policies. And so who has the president's back on getting those two progressive policies of CARES economy and climate into the forced stimulus? The progressives with Jalapal. And the president is loving it and been telling them he loves their support. So how is he rubbing their back? He's rubbing their back by saying, whatever you progressives want to include as well, so long as you got my back on my two progressive policies, you can do your progressive policies in there as well. Wow, now that is wonderful. And what is that third progressive policy? Monthly stimulus checks. The progressives in the House and House and Senate, they want those monthly stimulus checks. The president, what are his progressive policy he wants in there? Climate and also the CARES economy. And they're both watching each other's back getting to the finish line. And now the voting starts this coming week. Wow. So how do we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot with Leader Schumer the Friday before Memorial Day weekend saying, we're currently under recon. We're finishing recon on July 4th, and we're finishing with an approval. Wow. And how do we get to that spot? With Jalopal as well. Jalopal wrote Schumer a letter saying, we're going to call the vote, Chuck. We got to call the vote on the recon. Well, now we're calling the vote. But Jalopal's letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had written the president a letter saying, Mr. President, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Wow. Now that's great news. Can we top that? We can. When 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter directly and said, Mr. President, when we draft the fourth stimulus, we're going to be drafting monthly fourth stimulus checks in there. Well, who are they to say that? What do they do for a living? Who are these people? They're on the House subcommittee that's solely and exclusively responsible for writing stimulus checks in the U.S. Congress, House of Representatives. Did they write the first stimulus check? They did. Did they write the second stimulus check? They did. Did they write the third stimulus check? They did. And now they say they're currently marking up the bill. And they say they're putting monthly stimulus checks in there. Oh my goodness. Are they doing fifth stimulus checks as well? They say they are. That's coming up in the second half of this video. Wow. Now that's wonderful. Can we top that? We can. As the president has now anchored fourth stimulus to the edge of the finish line by passing an international agreement with leaders of foreign countries about the corporate tax rate. I'm going to explain that details starting right now. It started on a recent Tuesday ago when I told you the president had done something confusing, complicated about the corporate tax rate, and I had to slow it down to explain it to you. So I'm going to slow it down once again right now. The president is paying for stimulus by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate. But the president said he was worried that if he raised the U.S. corporate tax rate, that U.S. corporations may leave the U.S. and go to another country to find a lower corporate tax rate. So he had an idea: raise other corporate tax rates around the globe so that there is nothing lower. And so he reached out to G7 countries' leaders and said, do you like this idea? And they said, yeah, we do. To which he reached out to his legislators and said, hey, it's going good. After fourth stimulus is passed, around December, we can go back to those G7 countries and have them sign on the dotted line. And once they do, we can go back and remove provisions from fourth stimulus. Wow. Now, that was wonderful at the time. But then Biden did it. He surprised everyone. After a tip-off from me a recent Friday ago, he suddenly did it. Last Saturday, he flew overseas for his first international trip as president to sign into law with those G7 countries that provision. Not in December, but now, before fourth stimulus, anchor it to the edge of the finish line, because no longer are those provisions needed in fourth stimulus because they're in the international agreement, making it easier for the Democrat caucus to pass the items of the fourth stimulus because now there's less of them in there than now in the international agreement. Oh my goodness, now that is wonderful news. Can we top that? We can. With a third of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021, in the second half of this video, I'll be going over the breaking news about the voting next week. It's very exciting. I'll be going over what's happening this afternoon and what's happening next week. Stay with me for that third part of our fourth stimulus check update after this commercial break. And fifth stimulus, with another stimulus check and a raise up of your benefits and an astronomical lift that is lifetime. But first, something even more wonderful: the volunteers. They truly embody the Purple Power spirit, viewers helping viewers. So if you've had problems finding that rent or that utilities or that internet, don't worry. The volunteers are there for you to help get that for you. They'll help find you that rent, utilities, internet, or SNAP. How do you find the volunteers? Easy. Open the description of this video. Go down in the description. Find the emoji of a house. Click that emoji of the house, which is next to the words community page. It sends you to news.la.com/community, the community page. On the community page is the volunteers. Below a picture of some kitty cats. Reach out to them and they'll help you get that internet, food, rent, and utilities. And more about them right now in this commercial break. But I'll be back in 60 seconds with exciting details about your fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus still heating up. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now as the coffee is brewing, the toast is toasting, and the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and we got more exciting details about your fourth stimulus check in the third part of our update in this recording. How are ya? Fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus heat up in the second half of this video. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you to subscribe and be part of this family. Like this video, it helps with the bad weather. It also helps with the algorithm rankings. Hit that like button right now. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. More about that later in this video. But let's cut right to fifth stimulus. There is so much breaking news about fifth stimulus, so that's why this morning's LA broadcast is slightly extended. First, fifth stimulus check. Yes, there will be. 7 House Democrats have indicated they are writing the fifth stimulus check. So let me go over where and when. This would be next year, 2022. The legislative effort starts in September, but finally wouldn't get to a final vote until about November. Perfect timing. Fourth stimulus this year, fifth stimulus next year. Number 2, the president has dedicated $1 billion to the Social Security Administration Fund to ensure that checks for you in the future go out on time. We all saw the mess of third stimulus with people on benefits getting checks weeks later, months later. Their Direct Express by Comerica card had all these problems. You saw the problems, hundreds of videos on this channel. It's all getting solved in advance of that fourth stimulus check, fifth stimulus check, and raising up of your benefits. Third, Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, this week said that 2 new interest rate hikes will come in 2023, that the economy still needs support and stimulus because we're not fully rebounded, and that he thinks that inflation is relatively under control. Well, this morning, the head of the Federal Reserve out of St. Louis, Bullard, appeared on broadcast news and said, the inflation rate's a little bit higher than we thought. Oh boy. That's why Wall Street was down 500 points this morning. The Dow was down 500 points on that not particularly surprising news, but surprising admission that came out of nowhere. Now, what does that mean for you? It means wonderful news. Here's what's going on, is that in the last week, we've had the consumer price index number and the producer price index number showing that inflation is going up a lot. And Wall Street analysts of consensus now believe that we're currently at about a 4% inflation rate, heading potentially to a 10% inflation rate, which would be temporary, or as they call, transitory. So they're basically saying it's like a chart, like a mountain. We're at 4%. We're going up. We're going up. We're going up. We're going to hit this peak, this temporary peak, transitory period, 10%, and then come back down. Well, you have to hope that peak is exactly when they apply your benchmark under fifth stimulus. What's the benchmark? How does it work? Let's go over the details starting right now. Under fifth stimulus, they're going to reform the system by raising up your benefits one big time, then applying a new benchmark, and that would be inflation, removing the asset limits, removing the income exclusion, and removing the marriage penalty. So let me explain how this works so you understand this very basically. First, under fifth stimulus, everyone's benefits would be raised up one time. Who's you? You. So if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple benefits, you would be raised up one big time. Then, every December for next year, they reassess your benefits based upon the benchmark. it would be a new benchmark, and it would be inflation. Well, this is how it works. You have to hope that as we go up that mountain, that we hit that highest point of 10% potentially, right when they apply your benchmark in about November, December. If they do, and if that happens, this is what happens. Your benefits would raise up an additional 10%. But not just next year, lifetime. Lifetime, because the way the benchmark works is it raises you up and never steps you down. So once you step up, you're at that rate lifetime. It's wonderful, wonderful news. Then they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to 1980's law. It says you can't have more than $3,000 on hand. It's going to go away, so you'll have room to put some stimulus checks in the hand. They're going to remove the 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. It's going to go away, so you'll be able to work if you want to. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear loss of benefits because of the marriage penalty. And viewers like Sandy and Rob will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. And there you go. That is fifth stimulus and your fifth stimulus check updated 2021 today. But folks, there's a lot more money in fifth stimulus besides that. There's a lot more money in fourth stimulus that I can cover in a video. And there's thousands and thousands of dollars of money for you in third stimulus that is now law and available for you to go get. That's application based. So how do you find out all the details? By becoming a member. The membership link's in the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Daily, I send members a breakdown of everything that is in the third stimulus for you to go get. Fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. So consider becoming a member and you'll receive those messages from the community page on YouTube from me to you daily. Members in the live chat right now all have purple hawks next to their names. All right, let's go back to the fourth stimulus with the third and final part of our fourth stimulus check updated 2021 with this extended morning's broadcast. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 items I got to go over, which are absolutely important and breaking news this morning. First, personal message. Second, calling the vote and what you should anticipate for next week. Number 3, fake narratives and what you should anticipate for this weekend. And number 4, purple power on what you're doing right now for the push. First, personal message. You've been doing a great job. You've been really, really ramping up. It was about a week ago where I said, hey, I saw 12 tweets in 12 hours. I said, that ain't going to cut it. Well, you're really doing a great job in pushing. It's important to also note how good you have been on mindset. I've been saying to you that this is not the stimulus psychic network, and that you should not be at the water cooler at work or on the front porch doing your own stimulus psychic network, because stimulus is not something to be psychic about. I think, I predict, I wonder, I predict, I think, I hope. No, because these are legislators. As I said earlier in the video, they're currently marking up the bill. That means that they have a copy of the draft and they got a pen and they're making changes to the piece of paper. The pen has ink on one side and an eraser on the other side. At any time, if you're so happy about something you think under the psychic network is in there, they could take that eraser and start erasing it and taking it out, surprising you. Or anything you're pessimistic about incorrectly, they could have the pen and write it in there, and suddenly it's included. So it's not a time to predict anything. The situation is very fluid. They're legislators, which is important to understand how next week's voting process is at issue. Let's go over the 9 steps. Remember, the 9 steps aren't 9 voting steps. They can do more than 1 step per day, with the exception of the vote-a-rama that is required to take a certain number of hours under the Constitution. Let's go over the 9 steps. Steps 5, 7, and 8 are the most important. Step 1, the House calls a vote on the procedural bill. Step 2, the House floor votes on the procedural bill. Step 3, the Senate votes on the procedural bill. Step 4, the President signs into law the procedural bill. At that point, the tow truck has passed over the finish line. Time to go back and get the tow hitch. Step 5, the critical step 5. The House subcommittee that's currently marking up the bill that's promised to put multiple stimulus checks in there could put them in there at that point. Step 6, the House floor votes on the substantive bill. There you go, steps 7 and 8, the 2-day vote-a-rama in the Senate. The senators receive the House bill and can do one of 3 possibilities. Number 1, the House bill has no stimulus checks. The senators can amend and add them in there. Possibility number two, the House bill has stimulus checks in there and the senators are fine. They leave it alone. Or step three, the House bill has stimulus checks in there, but the senators want to amend it. And finally, step 9, the president signs into law. There you go. Next, fake narratives. It's important for you to know that between now and the finish line, you should really only be listening to the president, to Chuck, to Jalapal, and the viewers and myself, because there's going to be a lot of fake narratives down to the final end. Why? Here's a new one for this morning. There are new reports of some Democrats who are literally backing up the U-Haul truck to the forced stimulus package and trying to throw in stuff that no one has ever heard of for months, like the turnip bill or the carrot bill or the lobster fest bill. It's like, what are you talking about? No one has heard about this. And they're starting to run these sort of fake narratives like, well, I'm not signing it unless I get my carrots and turnips in there. So I want you to sort of distance yourself from all that. That's actually starting to happen. It's much of nothing. It's just a lot of silliness. So I don't want you to focus too much on it. There's also the print media that is running all these strange narratives. And then there's the moderates and the GOP. So there's going to be a lot of strange, fair narratives down to the final end. Listen carefully to Chuck's words, Jalapal, the president, and myself. Finally, Purple Power. Boy, you've been doing a great job. It was 1 week ago where we had, on a given 12 hours, 12 total tweets. And I said, that's not going to cut it. And viewers said, that's not going to cut it. And you stepped up, and you have been doing a wonderful job. Hundreds of tweets per hour. Keep it going. Viewers have been asking me who to tag. Well, I've been saying House Democrats and Senate Democrats, but also tag the progressives, tag the Twitter accounts of the Progressive Caucus, like it's progressive, House Progressive Chair, House Progressive Vice Chair. If you can see the members on the Progressive Caucus, tag them. Tag them also on the Senate side. Remember, the progressives are the ones that are pushing this to the finish line. As you saw earlier in this video. The president has 2 key progressive policies he wants passed in there, and he's having the progressives watch his back. You watch their back as the president watches their back as well on that monthly stimulus check. So hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Share these videos and tag those elected officials on social media. As one viewer said, it's very easy to retweet other people's tweets from the Purple Power. So, for example, if you're on Twitter and you do a word search for hashtag Purple Power altogether, and you see 100 tweets, you can literally retweet them in about 3 minutes. Just go in there, retweet, retweet, retweet. Very easy. Finally, if you're new to social media and you're uncomfortable with it, you don't understand it, you can't get it to work, you don't know Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, or Facebook, or or any of those platforms, then do the old-fashioned way, the telephone. The best thing you can do is talk to a staffer. Talk to a staffer. Call up the DC office of your elected official, Democrat, House, Democrat, Senate, or progressive member. It doesn't have to be your elected official. And speak to that staffer. Be professional and respectful. Explain why you need a stimulus check. And on Thursday morning, we learned more about why you need a stimulus check. And Wednesday, we did as well. On Wednesday, Jay Powell said, the head of the Federal Reserve, said, we need to continue to support this economy. And then what happened on Thursday? The new jobless claims number was released. And it was shocking. It was worse. It was worse. These are not people who were unemployed before during the pandemic. These are people who just became unemployed. The number of new unemployment claims went up on Thursday, yesterday. So it shows we really need stimulus. But ultimately, you bring your message very loud and clear, what is needed and how it's needed. Express why you think these stimulus checks are needed, that you have debts, that you're still unemployed, that things have not gotten back to normal. Explain your situation because legislators want to hear it and understand it. So ultimately, they understand it needs to get done. And with that, stay with me all throughout the day. I'm next back with you with Mornings Crypto. It's in about 3 minutes from now as the cryptocurrencies have a surprising twist last night. So stay with me on Mornings Crypto starting about 3 minutes from now. And then I'm back with you at 11 a.m. with Noontime LALATE. I have breaking news live on air direct from Santa Monica. But also, first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you to follow this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now if you have not subscribed. Like this video, 1, 2, 3,000 likes. It helps in the algorithm rankings, and it helps in getting rid of bad weather. And consider becoming a member so that you're delivered daily from me all the money you can get under third, fourth, and fifth stimulus. The link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment to become a member. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning. I'll see you in just a minute or two as Mornings Crypto heats up. Stay here, stay positive, and stay with LA for more.